Childhood's End is a 1953 science fiction novel by Arthur C Clarke. Clarke was born in Somerset in 1917. When World War II broke out, he joined the RAF and helped devise an early warning radar system. Afterwards, he gained a first-class honours degree in mathematics and physics from King's College, London. His first book, published in 1951, was instrumental in persuading President Kennedy to endorse a manned moon mission. In the 1960s and 70s, he, Robert Heinlein, and Isaac Asimov were frequently described together as science fiction's big three. Nowadays, he's probably best known for co-writing the screenplay for 2001 A Space Odyssey, often considered the greatest science fiction film ever produced, and based on a short story he'd written in 1951 called The Sentinel. Interestingly, The Sentinel was originally penned for a BBC short story competition, yet when the results were announced, it failed to place. Would-be authors, take heart. Childhood's End was written just 2 years after The Sentinel, and we might as well get its weaknesses out of the way first. I've seen 2001 A Space Odyssey several times, and it always astonishes me how fully it preserves 1960s sexual stereotypes. When one of the chief characters is on his way to the moon, for example, all the onboard service staff are glamorous young women. The original Star Trek is similar. Captain Kirk runs the USS Enterprise as if it's a World War II aircraft carrier, with the sometimes awkward addition of glamorous young women. Childhood's End suffers the same kinds of cultural limitations, and it may be that they're integral to the genre. In order to really speculate about the future, some factors may need to be held constant, and it's likely that those will be the present-day ones we're least accustomed to question. It's a theory. Although the hero of Childhood's End is an intelligent black man, when Clarke comes to discussing racism and sexism, for all his well-intentioned progressivism, he doesn't entirely avoid some of the cultural tropes of his time. I'm not blaming him. We might have done the same. No one's above history, and anyone who thinks that future generations won't regard us as retrograde is probably deluded. The best we can hope for is that our good intentions will be acknowledged. Anyway, if you can get past what I've called its defects, Childhood's End has fair claim to be one of the more profound novels of the 20th century in any genre. It addresses issues of utopianism, the possibility of progress, the kind of things human beings are, our possible place in the cosmos as a whole, the value of supposedly psychic phenomenon, the impenetrability of true transcendence, among other things. It begins when a fleet of extraterrestrial spaceships appears over the entire Earth. For a long time they don't make contact, but when they do, it turns out they're not just friendly, but helpful. They put an end to war, they stopped the killing of animals for sport, Clarke himself had a lifelong love of animals, and they introduce a golden age. What's the catch, you're probably asking? And that's the genius of this novel, there isn't one. The aliens, the overlords as humanity comes to refer to them, are exactly what they seem, kind, well-intentioned, and helpful, and ultimately tragic. At one point, they declare, "The planets you may one day possess, but the stars are not for man." It's a remark that causes planetary outrage, but one the reader eventually comes to appreciate. It reminded me a little of William Shatner's comment after going into space recently. It was among the strongest feelings of grief I've ever encountered. I won't give away any more than that. Suffice it to say that sensitively read, this is a novel that still possesses considerable power to disturb. To me, the most disconcerting passage occurs in chapter 23. You'll have to read it for yourself in context to find out why. They might have been savages, Clarke writes, engaged in some complex ritual dance. They were naked and filthy. As far as Jan could tell, they were of all ages from 5 to 15, yet they all moved with the same speed, precision, and complete indifference to their surroundings. Then he saw their faces. In some ways, Childhood's End resembles John Wyndham's 1957 The Midwich Cuckoos, but it predates Cuckoos by 4 clear years, and somehow it still has an aura of might-be reality about it, if there really are aliens out there. However weird this book might seem, as all weird things do, until they happen. Well, who knows? I don't. but then no one does. No one on this planet, anyway.